Movie. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. I am VJ Drumarts, your host. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood, or Hollywood, this week. Why don't the other two VJs introduce themselves?
My name is Patrick.
Joker.
Uganda forever. I don't know.
And I am
Okay,
VJ Lugia, Tiger.
Maybe let's not compare Uganda to a fictional Wakanda. Jesus Christ. Okay.
This episode is not off to a great start.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This isn't even like we're talking about two movies today, and we didn't even like mention the other one, One Cut of the Dead. But yeah.
But we're not restarting because we're doing this in one shot.
Yes. One take.
There you go. There's the comparison.
Yep.
Hey, ties.
Alright. So before we get in, let's just talk about some news. Unfortunately, a lot of people passed away this week. The first one of note is Ray Stevenson, who's probably best known for his roles in Marvel. Particularly, he played Frank Castle in a couple takes of The Punisher. And he also is known for some of his work in Star Wars and a couple other flicks like Kill the Irishman and Book of Eli and stuff like that. So rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. He was a real talent. Also, rest in peace, Andrew Michael Rourke, who is the bassist for the band The Smiths, of which I'm a big fan of. From what I understand, he was not racist, like Morrissey, so you can feel like a little bit more sad than you otherwise probably would, I guess. Yeah, no, the Smiths had some great bass work, so real talent lost there. And another musician, Tina Turner, probably the most well-known person on this list that passed away. Legendary artist. She did to relate it to movies, I guess. She wrote the song Goldeneye for the James Bond movie, and she also acted in Mad Max 3, and yeah, one of the best-selling recording artists of all time. Like, I'm sure some of you have heard her songs, but yeah.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, let me actually look at her. Tina Turner she's in the 100 to 118 million. So how many does she sell? She has sold, claim sales is in the 100 millions, and she has about 40 million certified units. So yeah, a lot of very big artists. The other day, Sony had their little like PlayStation Direct whatever thing. They announced a lot of games. The main one of note is they announced the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, which they're calling Metal Gear Solid Delta, I think, because I think that's what the triangle
No, it's
symbol's
triangle,
meant to
because it's a
represent.
green triangle like the one on the PlayStation controller.
I don't think the one on the PlayStation controller is green, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
X is blue, circle is red, square is pink, triangle is green.
Okay, well, all right then. Metal Gear Solid
But no, it's being called Delta, but I'm making a stupid joke.
Yeah, that's fine. Metal Gear Solid Triangle. I'm actually a little bit interested in it. Just here's the thing. Principally, really shouldn't exist because Kojima is not involved. But the only reason I'm not entirely opposed to it is the fact that they are porting the original trilogy, as it was playable like initially in like subsistence and stuff, to all consoles. So I'm like, okay, they're making a remake, but they're also making the original fully available, which to me shows to me is like an act of good faith, and to me I think kind of shows that Konami is at least somewhat trying to win back some goodwill. They like really shot themselves in the foot back in like 2015 with how they handled a lot of stuff, but Capcom was able to recover their reputation. I'm sure Konami can too.
This kind of feels like RE4 in a similar vein.
Yeah, well, that's another thing though. Since they're making it easily available to play the original Metal Gear Solid 3, I'm thinking like RE4, they're probably going to take some swing in the remake and make it different, right?
Probably.
And one thing I do like, in comparison to Resident Evil, so I like all the Capcom's new games, but the one thing that kind of bothers me is their kind of realistic human facial scanning stuff because it looks really uncanny to me. All the models they've shown of Snake though looks like it's because like it wasn't a face scan, but like a handcrafted model. They got the eyebrow furrow and the thing, so I was like, okay. I kind of like that they're doing that just from like a visual standpoint. I kind of like the choice they made there, rather than going for the kind of modernization stuff that Capcom does. I was like, okay, that's good. Also, they got David Hayter back voicing, so.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah, they're saying that the entire original voice cast is reprising the roles.
Oh, nice. I didn't know
The only
that.
one of the concerns I have is because typically nowadays they tend to like kind of downplay sexual content in games that they're gonna kind of like remove some of the femme fatale stuff. But the thing is, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 in particular is heavily inspired by like the Rambo movies and James Bond. So I'm like, I feel like if you kind of gut kind of the goofy, campy elements of it, you're kind of like got the whole point. So I really hope they don't. It kind of feels like something that a lot of these remakes tend to do, downplay the silly moments, downplay any like sexual shit, and like, I don't do that.
We'll just have
I
to
hope
see
they
when we
don't.
see more of the game.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. A lot of people are like, nah, because Kojima ain't involved, but Kojima doesn't seem to like give a shit, and also I don't think, you know.
The template is already there,
Yeah.
so whether or not Kojima's involved, it should primarily be the same game, just with a few differences.
Was Kojima involved in the Twin Snakes?
I know he wanted a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. I don't know if he was directly involved though.
I hope they do better tweakings of the engines. Actually, one thing I hope is the 3DS port of Metal Gear Solid 3, which exists for some reason.
Yeah.
So they added crouch walking in that one, and that was actually like a really good mechanic. So now a lot of people are like, I hope they add the 3DS thing so I can have these new mechanics, these new quality of life changes, but in a control scheme that isn't terrible.
Why would you put the camera controls on the face buttons?
Let's see, Twin Snakes, new cutscenes written and directed by Rihei Kitamura. Introduced gameplay functions in Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay, it looks like Kojima was involved in Twin Snakes, but not like super heavily involved because obviously he was working on like MGS3 and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing: the Metal Gear Solid games not involved by Kojima are actually like not that bad. That one PSP game that came out before Portable Ops, that's pretty good. Ghost Babel's
Rising.
pretty good. Rising, yeah. Still like kind of cautious. Like I'm kind of like stretching to be like, it might be good, but like, who knows?
Again, we'll just have to see once it comes
Kojima's
closer
a
to
very
release.
Yeah, Kojima has a very distinct voice. To me, it's kind of like, saying you're gonna remake Indiana Jones, like Raiders of the Lost Ark or like Last Crusade or something. It's like, you could, but you are not Spielberg, so it's probably not gonna be as good. But we'll see. And granted, with this, they can lift a lot more. Like with remakes in video games, you get away with just lifting stuff wholesale and no one cares. With movies, like Indiana Jones has not aged in any sense visually or anything. So if you remade it, it would be utterly superfluous. But like here, you can at least like make a graphical argument. But that's it. All right. So One Cut of the Dead is a also known as Don't Stop the Camera, is a 2017 Japanese zombie comedy film directed by Shinichiro Ueda. It follows a team of actors and filmmakers that are tasked with shooting a zombie film for live television and must do it in a single take. I'll give more detail on the plot later, but let's see. The production is the filmmaker directed, edited, and wrote the script. It's an independent film. He previously made a couple short films, but yeah, this is basically his debut. He stated that the film was partially inspired by the stage play Ghost in the Box, which he had seen 5 years prior. So Wada, a playwright and theater director, had presented Ghost in the Box from 2011 to 2014. Cool. So to make this film, he worked with the drama school in Tokyo. The school not only produced the film, but they hosted the acting workshops that Ueda used to help cast its actors. Almost all of them are unknown. The workshop lasted for about 2 months, and yeah, it took the entire filming of the movie took place over the course of 8 days. It was shot at an abandoned water filtration plant, and Akiyama described the film process as very enjoyable but pretty exhausting due to getting the long take right. The long take in particular was a 37-minute long continuous shot of the zombie film. Took 6 takes. So that opening shot you saw, that the first like 40 minutes of the movie, that was actually done in one shot. They didn't use clever editing. They actually did it, which is crazy to me.
And it took them 6 tries.
6 tries, yeah. So 6 tries, 40 minutes. So that took them like hours. Like probably 4 hours or something. One Cut of the Dead was made for about $25,000, and it was partially crowdfunded. And it took 4 months to edit the movie after filming for those 8 days. And yeah, it became the seventh highest grossing film of 2018 in Japan. So it actually made a good fucking chunk of money. Even overseas, it made about 2 million in Taiwan, 1 million in Hong Kong, and a couple $1,000 in other countries. So 31 million total worldwide. So yeah, pretty successful movie. It holds 100% certified fresh on Rotten Tomato based on 91 reviews with 8.6. So it's yeah, people loved it.
So should we actually get into what the movie's about?
Okay, yeah. So the first 40 minutes of One Cut of the Dead, and I went into this completely blind, so I had no idea, but I thought it was just a zombie movie that was done in one take, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So 40 minutes is this one take zombie movie about like these zombies breaking out during this film set. And I personally was not a fan. I thought it was kind of shitty, like it was kind of cool, but like I didn't really like it that much. But then after the credits roll, you get the rest of the movie, which is about like an hour long, and it's basically like an Always Sunny type episode where it's like about the making of it. So you get like 20 minutes where it's like talking about like all the parties getting together, and then the last 20 minutes is just literally showing us how those first like 40 minutes of the movie were filmed, and it's a pretty interesting little thing, and it makes you really appreciate the process of filmmaking, even though like I wasn't even a fan of the first 40 minutes, but like it retroactively made me appreciate it later. And on second watch, I was like, actually, God.
It shows you
Um,
how much effort goes into making stuff, even like shitty movies.
Yeah.
There
yeah,
are people behind the camera who care. Don't forget about that.
yeah.
And
So
someone who constantly needs to shit.
yeah, and I kind of like the real chaotic elements of like the filming stuff because again, it reminded me a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is, you know, the namesake of our show, but I think I'm the only one here who's actually seen it. But yeah. Yeah, I thought second half in particular is like obviously the thing that really grabbed me, but the first half is like so important. It's really I think it like the second half has some like pretty good jokes too. Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. What
So,
about you guys?
all right, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So I understand what you meant by you hating the first half, but it connecting to the second half. I was more so not confused, a little more intrigued at the idea that they were going for the first half when I saw it. Because initially I thought, oh, is this like actually part of the movie? Is this supposed to be quote unquote real life? Like, is this supposed to be happening right now? And the director is just constantly crazy all the time. He shows up out of nowhere. He's like, action! Like at the most random points, but like, okay, I don't know if this is supposed to be a joke or if he's actually fucking insane. And I think that was the point too, because the whole purpose of the second half is showing why that happened.
If I could jump in for a second, the impression I got from the first half without knowing the context that would come later was that the director intentionally chose the zombie place so he could make zombies or unleash zombies to get real reactions out of them.
Yes, that is
Because he was
exactly
that
what I
committed.
thought.
So I wanted
Honestly,
to see that character.
I thought it was kind of funny.
Okay, I kind of exaggerating how much I hated the first half. Like I didn't like hate it. There was a lot of good moments, but I remember like when I first watched like the first 40 minutes, I was just like, this is like an okay movie. Like I'm enjoying parts of it, but like I'm kind of like getting like tired of it. Like after like because it went on for like 40 minutes. Like after like the first like 20 minutes, I was like, all right, like I get it. Like and like I especially like because I went in blind, so I had no idea about the second half. I was like, is this like movie gonna go on for like another like hour? And I was like, holy shit, because like and it didn't. So I was like, oh okay. But yeah, I was like, man, like the first like fucking like I enjoyed it for like 20 minutes, and then it lost me for 20 minutes, and then and like that second 20 minutes was like really soured on me because I assumed it was going to go on for even longer, but then it didn't, and it kind of changed my perspective. Like on second watch, I actually was able to really appreciate this movie for what it was.
To give my piece, yeah, Red, I am pretty much exactly the same way. I'm watching the first 30 minutes, I'm like, all right, the single shot is cool, but is this all the movie is? Like, I can see this working
Yeah.
as like a YouTube video with the production value it has, but like, I don't know if I can do this for like a full 90 minutes. And then it ends, which is actually when it begins. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And then it keeps going and explains, oh, we're building up to what you just saw, and actually seeing the last 30 minutes and everything that happened behind the scenes and certain things that didn't quite make sense actually come full circle. Yeah, like I'm like, okay, I really like this. This is really cool.
If I could put it one way, this movie is the best slow burn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because like
This is
that second half actually hits
huge
really
baby step.
hard if you stick through
yeah,
with it.
yeah.
What this movie is basically a short film with like an hour long making of, except it's all
Yeah.
fictional.
And even in the
Um
credits, you get the actual behind the scenes. So everything you
so
witness was a lie.
the reason I saw this movie was because YMS did a review on it, and YMS is a guy who has on multiple occasions stopped watching movies because he just didn't like them, and he was like, "Listen, stick through to the end." And I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting," because like very rarely is YMS the type of person that's like, if if you aren't feeling it the first half hour, like turn off. This is like the only time he's ever been like, a movie actually changed my mind after watching it. He didn't give any spoilers, so I had no idea what was going on. So which is why I stuck through it and then was like, oh shit, and like yeah. Also to bring up, Doug Walker wants you to review the Straight Story, where he was like he didn't like the movie, but then the ending hit and it completely recontextualized everything, and he was like, oh, this movie actually is amazing, and then he was like, he then like stayed like Straight Story became like one of his favorite films, and it was like that was kind of like that moment for me. It was like the first time where like an ending actually made me like the first half, which that is like such a rare thing that happens. Like usually endings like ruin a film for you. It doesn't make a film for you, but it's completely different in this case. And yeah, this is a very unique experience for me. Like I never.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I've never
I
really
was
seen a
complete
movie like this before.
No, not at all. And I was completely surprised by it. Like I was
Um,
surprised how much I liked this.
yeah, no. It also it kind of like pissed me off because so this is just some like personal stuff, but in when I was like 17 or something, I wrote a script about like people filming a shitty B movie, and we were gonna film it together with the people in this podcast, but yeah, I couldn't really figure out how I would incorporate the B movie and the production part of it because I also wanted to show the actual B movie, and then I saw this movie, I was like, oh shit, this is like perfect. Like this movie is like exactly the kind of movie I wanted to make as a kid. It's just I didn't want it to be a one take zombie movie. I want it to be like, Black Dynamite and then still.
I think
Um
because the three of us are all film and or television majors, this whole anything goes, the show must go on attitude. I think we've all been there
Yeah,
in some
it
way.
hits very close in a meta sense.
So if
um
you're a film major, then absolutely watch this.
and now it's time to talk about another this time a real life story about perseverance in filmmaking. Who killed Captain Alex? Here's the thing. Who Killed Captain Alex is a very rare case where people want to say it's a so bad as good movie, but a lot of people refuse to actually say it's so bad it's good because it's so endearing and like they also know exactly what they're making. So like it's not like with most so bad as good movies, it's a case where like Tommy Wiseau, where like they're complete hubris, they're delusional. This one isn't that. This one's more of like
This one
you're seeing like
actually is a passion project from the
yeah,
heart.
this one's more, the best way I can describe Who Killed Captain Alex is like when you're a kid and you make a movie with your friends and then you show it to your family and everyone's having a good time, even though we know it's not technically great.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what
that's a
Captain
good way to
Alex
put it.
feels like.
That's a good way to put
But
it.
let me get into the production. So production began in late 2009 in the ghettos of Natit. Nabuana, the director, was inspired to create a film by like he saw Hollywood live action movies and martial arts films during his childhood. The helicopter scenes were based on Ugandan bush where his brother was chased by a helicopter. So, yeah, he had like fuck shit happen to him in his like real life. So he shot the film in January 2010. With a budget of $85, not 85,000, 85. Um, and yeah, um, and he basically just like used people from his town and stuff. Actors supplied their own costumes. One of them was given a mask so he could play two different roles in the same scene. They used squibs, which were the squibs were used the same way like old Japanese films used them, where they made a condom with the red food coloring and then tied it to a fish line before ripping the shit. Nabana used a cow's blood, but one of the actors got sick from it, so then he started using like food dye and stuff. He edited from all the old parts and stuff. The film's props and camera equipments were from scrap metal and machine shop next to the Nabana's house. In case you notice, the guns were not real guns. They're just he basically welded together a bunch of fake ones. And the editing, they actually had like a bunch of like power issues when it came to like editing, so he had to like the editing was a very like laborious process, like because they straight up didn't have power for like a lot of time, so they had to be like very, you know, they just couldn't edit some days. So yeah. Originally, it was going to be intended for local distribution, with the dialogue recorded in the native language. But after the trailer went viral on YouTube, he decided to get a local video Joker, um, to make one in English, and then it went viral online, and yeah, and then Hollywood kind of became this kind of cult phenomenon, like Neil Breen movies, where people like give him support, and people are really endeared by it. And oh, also one more detail, throughout the film, a panpipes cover of Seal's "Kiss from a Rose" and a piano cover of ABBA's "Mamma Mia" can be heard.
I don't know if that counts as copyright infringement.
Who's gonna copyright?
Oh.
Here's the thing. I think they're because they're like so small and because it's such a passion product. No company is like are gonna be a big enough dick to like copyright
Yeah.
them. And yeah.
Nah, ABBA's not gonna look at this and be like, "Hey, wait a minute." They'll give him a free pass.
Oh, also they made a Kickstarter campaign for the sequel, and the initial budget was meant to be $160, which is twice the budget of the original. Um, but because of the big cult following the film formed, it got $13,000, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess to get into the plot, it's a very loose plot. I'll be honest, I didn't really follow it. I just had kind of let it wash over me and have fun. But we have Captain Alex, who's one of the most decorated officers of the Ugandan police force, and it's basically like this kind of like mafia movie where like he's fighting the Tiger Mafia, and a bunch of like insane shit happens. There's a lot of like fun action, and yeah, it's weird. I can follow all the characters and stuff. I understand all the broad strokes, but it's very hard to actually like pinpoint exactly what the story is, and it also kind of doesn't matter. So
Yeah, you don't really watch this movie for the story.
it's a very unique experience. If you've never, I highly recommend going to this movie completely like ignoring everything you know about conventional like Hollywood filmmaking and storytelling. The video Joker is such like a unique concept, where it's basically like a built-in Mystery Science Theater commentary track into the actual movie. And
And so
yeah,
I'm the only one of the three of us who hadn't seen this movie before. So well, before we started, you immediately told me everything you know about film criticism, throw it out the window. It does not matter. So I'm like, okay, what am I getting into here? And then the video Joker comes up, and I'm a fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I have fond memories of watching Mystery Science Theater 3000. This is pretty much like that, just randomly saying things over. Like the first thing I think the video Joker says is, Captain Alex is talking with reporters, and the video Joker just says, I like men." Like I don't even
it's like
remember
I
the
remember.
context. I don't even remember the context. It was just out of
It's just
nowhere.
two
No,
characters having a conversation. I think one of them was Captain Alex, and like
it
Alex is
was a
like, "No, I like
reporter.
men. Get
It
out
was
of
a
here."
reporter asking Captain Alex, and the video Joker dubbed over the reporter saying, "Oh, you're so sexy," and then Captain Alex says, "Silence, woman. I like men." It's like,
That is totally something I could hear at like a Rocky Horror screening. But anyway, no, like throughout the video Joker is constantly saying things like during action, non-stop action, non-stop action. The guy's rolling down the hill, movie, movie,
yeah.
movie, and
We made
it
joke.
keeps
Yeah,
going.
we made some jokes about how they kind of advertised the movie a lot within the film, where he was
Yeah,
like, "This is
Yes,
Who
just
Killed
to
Captain
remind
Alex,
you what you're
the number
you're
watching.
one."
watching Who Killed Captain Alex, in case you forgot. And it just has that energy up throughout the action scenes, and because of that, I had a great time. For the beginning and the end, the middle is where things slow down, and I'll be honest, that's where it kind of lost me.
The video Joker is also not as prominent in those
No, I
middle
mean
scenes.
there's a few good jokes, but they mainly actually wait. There was one great moment with the video Joker in the middle, and it's one of the characters. I don't remember her name, but she's explaining how she got married, and she's held hostage by the mafia guy, and he says, "All right, you have a choice. You either marry me or die. Welcome to Uganda." Like that got a good laugh out of me.
Yeah, there was a little bit of like a self-deprecation element to it, where like they kind of knew that the movie was like a bit silly, and they leaned into it, and it's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't. I feel like the middle of the movie could have had more video
Yeah.
Joker moments, or at least like more outlandish video Joker
Yeah,
comments.
at a certain point, it did seem he was like getting bored of doing it. Like he's like, "All right, when's the next action scene? I want to scream my lungs off."
Like,
Um,
I know
One
this is
thing I
weird
do
to
want to
say,
say
but I
though,
would have almost preferred this movie be something like Resident Evil Apocalypse, where it's basically just nonstop action throughout. Like, yeah, there wouldn't have been much substance, but I feel like it would have been more fun.
Yeah,
I don't know.
although speaking of action, I do want to say unironic praise. I think the action is actually not that poorly done. There's some actual decent framing. It's clear that they didn't have like a ton of great equipment or whatnot, but some of the framing, some of the a lot of like the physicality of the actors are actually not that bad. Like the actors, they do some like crazy ass stunts, and
Well, that's to be
the some of the
expected
shots
because
are not
everyone in
poorly
Uganda
timed.
knows kung fu.
Yeah, but like yeah,
But
it's
yeah, no, the choreography in this movie is actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, not bad at all. Even like the effects with the helicopter and stuff. Like, yeah, it's obviously fake, but again,
Well,
there's an endearing
they
quality
reused
to
that
that.
one with the helicopter flying to the screen like 5 times.
Again, considering they're operating on like $85 and it's they're getting a whole village together to do this just for the passion of it, you can't help but like admire what they're doing. Like there's definitely an admirable quality to Who Framed Captain Alex.
yeah, this is a movie made with a lot of love. You can see the people are having a good time. I really like the ending part where they're whatchamacallit, talking about the well, they kind of just break down the passion. Like the director just directly like tells the audiences, thank you for seeing my movie, and then he gives us some information about it. And yeah, it's a very sweet little
Oh yeah.
film. And
Speaking of which, Lugia, do you want to explain what happened at the very end?
Oh yeah, so after the credits rolled, you were like, "Oh, yeah." Patrick was like, "Okay, I think we could stop now." He goes up to the laptop, about to turn it off, and then the video Joker says, "Like, wait, what are you doing? Sit back down."
And I'm like, okay. I obliged. And what didn't they advertise like
They
upcoming
advertised
plays?
more movies. I think some that weren't even out yet, or like maybe canceled projects. Some that were out though. Bad Black is one of them. I know that.
no, they advertised the Kickstarter that was going on currently.
Okay.
That was weird though. I never had a movie tell me stop.
And
Don't turn it off.
so like you froze up and like,
I
Patrick,
did
what are you?
feel-
And I'm like, Patrick, you heard the man. Sit your ass back down.
I obliged. I obliged.
Oh god.
That's Who Framed Captain Alex. It's
Who Framed Captain Alex?
Oops, sorry. I'm so used to, you know. That is Who
Right.
Killed Captain Alex. It's one of those movies. Get your friends together. You'll have a good time. Just be aware of that middle part.
If anything, some of the more insane moments in the middle part actually work because of the monotony, and then you just have VJ Emmy go like, "What the fuck?" and it catches you off guard. I don't know. That's kind of genius.
I must ask though, when is Who Killed Captain Alex the musical coming? They advertised it directly in the middle. When is it?
Oh yeah, that is a good
No, the
question.
musical was they said that the musical, and then they start playing the ABBA songs. Like that was the musical.
So what is?
They're saying now
Is
presenting
ABBA
Who
writing,
Killed
is
Captain
ABBA
Musical.
writing the score?
No, I don't. I think you missed the joke. They were saying, and now Who Killed Captain Alex the musical, and then they start playing an ABBA song. So like that scene was meant to be the musical scene.
Okay. I was expecting something bigger, but all right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was expecting a franchise expansion, a Broadway transfer. Is there anything else we want to say? I've said my piece.
I don't think so. I think both these movies encapsulate the joy of filmmaking. One is a movie about that sort of thing, and the other is that movie. So it's nice to see that sort of dichotomy. Sorry, but
so no, yeah. So 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend. If you're a fan of this film, I'd also recommend checking out Be Kind Rewind, because that's also a film about the joy of filmmaking. Also check out the Lethal Weapon episodes of Always Sunny, and maybe Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
And
Also,
I
Black
said
Dynamite.
Rocky Horror and Mystery Science Theater 3000.
So yeah. Next week recommendation.
Lugia.
all right. This one I kind of pulled out of thin air.
All right.
So I believe we haven't talked about director Spike Lee before.
Not. I've mentioned him a few times, but I've not
Okay.
talked about.
Haven't we?
I don't think we've ever done one of his movies yet.
No, we haven't.
We
no.
haven't.
All right. Well, I feel like this might be an obvious one, and I think it. Actually, I don't know if this is the only one I've seen, but it's a pretty popular one. So next week we're gonna be talking about Do the Right Thing.
Oh, and this is gonna be really fun because I mentioned this in the Night of the Hunter episode, but one of the monologues from Night of the Hunter is done in Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great movie, one of my favorites actually. So yeah, great. Do the Right Thing. Patrick, you've never seen it, right?
Nope. I don't. No, I've never seen a Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
Okay, this is a perfect first one. Yeah. All right. What the fuck?